Mic check. Mic check. 1, 2. Get everything set up, ready to go. Got my coffee. Let's do it. Let's get it. My levels on my instrumental are too high, so I struggle with that. Let me know if the audio's good. I'm still working on the kinks on the audio and everything. What is up? Osiris here. Stuck in the middle, going live, late night. Representing, got the gear going. I'm trying to get my marketing game up. No, I'm not yet. I'm still working on it. I just got it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I just felt like I wanted to have something to represent. So I'm not even pushing it. So I'm not getting I want to get my marketing game up like Nick Fuentes. I'm trying to get to that level. I got to. Rubio. Eric Smith was in the chat at 7. Hopefully he can stop by. If not, it's all good. Rubio, I got to, man. You wouldn't want to hear the show. As sleepy as I sound with the coffee, you wouldn't want to hear it without it. I was actually, when I was recording videos early on, it took me a long time. It took me a long time to edit. I didn't know anything about editing, really. I didn't have the proper equipment. I didn't have the proper software. It would take me hours to plan, record, and upload a video, like hours. And I would drink coffee every night, grinding to try and do it. And I was drinking coffee every night so frequently, I would get headaches or I would feel a little weird if I went to sleep without the coffee. So when that happened, I was like, that's not what I want. That's not what I want for my life. I mean, that's just a drug at that point. I mean, it's just crack at that point, right? I mean, no disrespect to anybody who's been addicted to crack. I have not, but you know what I mean? It's pretty solid. So I can't do lives at this time every night. That is for damn sure. Thanks for stopping by, though. You don't need a coffee to listen. Listen as much as you can. Catch the clips on the Clips channel. I am going to try and promote the Clips channels, plural, better. And I don't know. I'm still learning this whole streaming game. I don't know it. I'm navigating it the way it's almost like a video game where you kind of learn like, okay, how do I do this? What combos work? What don't work? I'm still in that groove, even though I've been on YouTube now for over a year. It's been about a year and a half. Guess who is in the chat? Friend of show. Everybody's a friend of show. Dina Marie, how you doing? Thank you for catching the late night vibes. How are you doing? I hope you are well. Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. I've been taking a lot of shortcuts, and I talked to Warren. I was on with Warren Redlick, one of my favorite YouTubers, and we were talking about this. I got more efficient. I just had to, but a lot of room for improvement. But thank you for the shout out there. Oh wow, we coming in hot. We coming in hot today. When millions of Americans to the street, enough is enough, man. I haven't even gotten to the first topic yet. We already talking about getting into the streets. Let's go. You had Al Georgie. You had your coffee, I think. Thank you, Dina Marie. I appreciate it. Sometimes I'm a little tough on myself, but I'm just a dude in the basement. So I got to just keep that perspective and always try to get better. Those thoughts really do help me going, so I really appreciate it. Al Georgie, what is going on with Al Georgie, though? Okay, let's go. Let's take to the streets. I got a lot I always say that, but I actually do, I think, have a lot to go through. Let's start it out. Bitcoin, cryptos, big news. Biden orders government to study digital dollar, other cryptocurrency risks. Now that wasn't the big news. The government's been studying this. I don't know. I actually don't know what they mean by this or why. My only guess is this is just a part of that slow boil. We're all frogs in that pot and we don't realize it, but the heat keeps getting hotter and hotter. Maybe we do. Al Georgie realizes it. That's why Al Georgie's like, let's take to the streets. But they've already been studying it going back to at least 2018. I know why. I'm going to talk about why I think now. You might know why as well. But what happened? Bitcoin's been surging recently. And I'll do a different video at a different time to try to break down for those who aren't that familiar with Bitcoin. But at the simplest level, it's just digital currency that is operated on a decentralized manner, meaning almost like, did you ever use, and I know I might be off here, I'm not an expert, so did you ever use like BitTorrent? You ever use BitTorrent? So BitTorrent, the idea of BitTorrent is I got a video, hopefully a perfectly legal video, and I got a perfectly legal video. Of course, it's perfectly legal, and I upload it, or I have it on my computer, and I make it available for upload so other people can download it. So you could have 100 people downloading my perfectly legal video, and then it gets to 100 other people. There's no centralized network. You can download parts of it. Actually, when you're looking at the BitTorrent, you can see it downloading bits and pieces all over the place. And it's kind of like doing the same thing with money. It's a problem because it's much harder for the government to control. That's just at the most simple level. Do we have any crypto like experts in the chat? I am trying to work to get an interview going with a crypto expert because we got to get our money right. If you don't know what crypto is, and I'm not, like I said, not an expert, you got to get on it. We got to figure out what's going on. I'm not saying you have to go get some. I'm just saying you have to educate yourself. But it rose on this news. Bitcoin's going to rise. I'm not a financial person. I'm not giving any advice. So if you go ahead and do that, I hope it goes out well for you. But Bitcoin is going to rise much higher. The only reason I am not heavy in Bitcoin is because I'm a Tesla person. And I got a little bit in Bitcoin, whatever, but Tesla is really where I'm at. But the market passed 3 trillion, and the US is looking at it from the government standpoint. It's a security issue now. And you know that, these cyber crimes are happening, all this hacking is happening, and these people are not they're not using fiat money. It's like these hackers, they're not saying, hey, I'm holding your information ransom and you give me $100 into my bank account. This isn't the 80s. They're trying to do it in crypto now. So it's all kinds of different things going on. People said the US is actually late on this. But I like to look at China because China is basically where every government from Trudeau to Macron to Biden to, most people in DC, 90% of the people in DC, maybe even more, look to China as the example. Where do you want to go? China took a hardline stance. They kicked the miners out of the country. The miners are mining this crypto. I'll get into that with a different video, but they kicked them out of the country, shut down the exchanges. Why? Because China can't control it. China has, I forgot the proper term for it, but they have this capitalism mixed with authority or totalitarianism. And if they can't control something, it's done. It's a wrap. So right now, crypto is all over the map. The SEC treats it as an investment. I think that's a typo. I think it's the CFTC, unless that's another agency I'm not aware of. I forgot what it stands for, Future Trading Commission or something. It's an interstate commerce issue, and then the IRS, subject to income or capital gains tax. So they want to get more control on this. And what is it about? Of course, it's about Putin and Ukraine. They did sanctions on Putin, and they're trying to go around it with crypto. in part, and there's nothing the U.S. government can do about it. So that's where we're seeing it. And I did a video. I'll end with this on this segment. I did a video a while back on the importance of this digital world we're in. It's not just for Russia and all that. They're looking at it from the standpoint of, if we have inflation, we printed, or, we didn't really, it's not really printing money. Now it's all just on paper digitally, but we essentially printed money. And the definition of inflation actually isn't rising prices. It's just more money in circulation. And that's typically, rising prices is what typically happens unless some other crazy factors are in play. So the government would like the ability to say, hey, if you hold on to your money too long, we'll make it disappear. So not only can we print the money, we can make the money disappear. I know it sounds crazy. I'm ending with this. Imagine you saved up, you've been grinding, you got $10K in your bank account. Government's spending money for a pandemic or wars or whatever the issue is. Inflation is way high. If it's all digital, the government literally could put an expiration and say, half that money you have in the bag, $5,000. If you don't spend it by the end of the year, it is gone, vanished, vamos, bye-bye. Why? Because they want to say the value of money is decreasing. We want to decrease what's in circulation. We want to get the economy moving. So you're going to have to go buy ATV or whatever you want to spend it on. Let me know what you think. I think it's an important topic. I just want to broach it on the digital cryptocurrency. Huge news. I just added that late when I found out about it. What is up, everybody? If you're new to the channel, I just go from segment to segment on news stories. I check out the chat. I'm trying to do all this stuff here. Alexander, what's up? Thank you. Anybody stopping by? Let's go to the next topic here. Impeachment. If you have heard any of the recent videos I've done on this, I'm not a big impeachment person. And it's hard to explain because there's numerous ways I'm going to talk about here, numerous legitimate reasons to have this man impeached. If we were a serious country, he would be impeached. I'm talking about Brandon. But impeachment's not policy. So I'm concerned that if you do all the focus on impeachment on a guy who's, 79, 80 years old or whatever, he's obviously in mental decline, shouldn't be there anyway. A guy that he's already done a lot of damage in 1 year. The globalists are fine. They're like, great, Biden did what he needed to do. If you want to boot him out, who cares? We control Kamala too. Okay, you can boot out Kamala? Okay, whatever. You could do that, and then you would get, you could get Trump actually, if Trump, potentially, but all that wouldn't happen in the time frame, I don't think. To impeach both of them? Come on. We got to talk about what are we really about? We're not about impeachment. But let me put that aside for a second and let's talk about impeachment. I just wanted to make sure that was on the record. The MAGA movement, this is according to America Greatness. I'm reading this website more and more. I like it a lot. AmericanGreatness.com, amgreatness.com. The MAGA movement needs to grill every GOP congressional candidate this year as to whether they support the impeachment of Joe Biden. If they don't, then questions need to be raised about the sustainability or the suitability of the candidate. And on that level, 100% agree, no argument. If somebody is running, I don't care what party, this is not a party thing. Obviously, most Democrats would say, no, we're not doing that, but I don't care about party. If somebody's running for office and I ask them, if you ask them, hey, should Brandon be impeached? And they're waffly, and they don't have a solid yes and can at least rattle off two things, then they shouldn't be running for office. There's no question about that. So this person responded to that tweet and said, not that I'm a constitutional scholar, but shouldn't there be charges or at least a moment where the Constitution has been infringed upon before impeachment? And that's right. I'm not a constitutional scholar either. So I appreciate having the conversation just citizen to citizen, just like normal dude to normal dude. So let me first show you that we do have legitimate concerns. And then we'll come back to that comment. In the article, AM Greatness, refusing to enforce federal immigration laws, just rattling them off, abandoning Americans in Afghanistan, re-entering the Iranian nuclear deal. That's the only one that, I forgot the author. Shoot, I apologize. I'll look that up here in a second. That's the only one that they brought up that I hadn't thought about. And not only that, blocked there's investigations into the talks of the deal. And this is just one of those things that Biden came in and just anything that Trump was a part of undid, like our drilling and all that kind of stuff that really could have helped us now was just overturned. Immigration, the court even, I think it was the Supreme Court, right? That even said you had to reinstate the stay in Mexico. So he, in day one, just eliminated all these things just because it was Trump. It didn't make it, it wasn't because it was bad policy. And then now we're back chasing these things. So I don't get why we would be that self-defeating to do that. But keep on going. Lying about Hunter Biden's corrupt deals. This is my number one. Everybody, there's so many reasons to get rid of Brandon. It's like everybody has their favorite reason. Like this is, I don't mean to laugh about it, but it's just like, which one's your favorite reason? Like I could throw it out in the chat. I could do a poll. Like we've got 8 reasons to impeach this dude. Which one is your favorite? I don't know if you want to say favorite or least favorite, but weaponizing and politicizing the pandemic is there's a lot of, because what about big tech? But I think for Biden specifically, it's more for me about the pandemic, pitting citizens against each other, trying to fire innocent citizens, unconstitutional, literally ruled unconstitutional by SCOTUS on 3 ends, tried to do the CDC moratorium after he already knew it was unconstitutional. All of that. That's my number one. Number 2 is big tech, working with big tech to constrict freedom of speech. And then how could this not be number 3? Weaponizing the FBI and Justice Department against parents. Before the pandemic, I would have never thought that was possible. Now I'm awake, violating the rights of J6. Just too many. So do you see? Say what? We've got a lot, but okay. Well, stop. Say you disagree with all of that, and the verbiage, the famous verbiage is high crimes and misdemeanors. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. So okay, you say that's not enough, and then say what? It's probably saying, well, Biden's not even. You guys didn't even get the red wave yet. You're already talking about it. You haven't even done the trial in the House and all that. Okay. You know what? Here's what's happened. And I'm not accusing, say, what of being a Democrat or a leftist. I don't even know what he is or what side of the aisle. But in general, there is a cost. We are going to pay a price for what happened for them trying to impeach Trump 2 times for absolutely no good reason. Russiagate proven undisputably false. And then the second one, it was J6. It's all proven he didn't break any law, didn't do anything wrong. It's all on film and record. So they tried to impeach him for that. Then they tried to do the J6 hearing, which is basically the 3rd time to try and impeach him because they ultimately want to stop him from running from office. Then all the state litigation and stuff in New York. So all that stuff has a cost. You're not always going to have power. The new standard for impeachment going forward. I didn't make the rules. I don't want this. Don't blame me. I didn't try to impeach Trump. While they were trying to impeach Trump, I was like, impeachment is like it's like almost like a nuclear option. So if nuclear bombs start dropping, then the earth is gone because that's the new normal. We're just dropping bombs right now. That's what happened. Don't blame me. The new standard for impeachment. Now remember, impeachment doesn't mean removal. The Senate would have to. So I'm just talking about impeachment. The new standard for impeachment is when a simple majority in the House wants to. That's the new standard, bro. You have to understand that. I didn't make those rules. If you clap like a baby seal, like, go get Trump, go get him. And knowing the whole time that it was never going to go in the Senate. If you clapped for that, you ushered in a new era of politics that's not sustainable for our country. If the president looks at Marjorie Taylor Greene wrong, or the opposite party, say somehow the House was Democrat and Trump got back in, would be impeached again. The only time it wouldn't happen probably is if you had establishment like a Pence. If Pence was president, they wouldn't impeach Mike Pence. That's where we're at. Let me know what you think. What's good? Let me check out the chat real quick. November is going to be hard on liberals. Assuming a fair election, I would agree. Alexander says that these lunatics had a forum talking about marching on Budapest, killing 6 million people, starting war in Russia. Whoa. These Bandera dudes went nuts. Whoa. Wow, I don't even know what's going on with that. What's up, everybody? Just going through some stories here. Headlines. This one is, I've talked about it multiple times, but I want to do one last, hopefully this is the last time on it, but this is about the Don't Say Gay bill. We can have these conversations and be respectful. And I'm not just talking about Republicans, or people on the right, or people who agree with the bill, whatever side you're on. I want to challenge my friends against the bill. I want to challenge them to do better. If you're against a bill, I need you to talk about what's in the bill. Is that too much to ask? If you're against a bill, I need you to talk about what is in the bill, like verbiage. Our discussion has to be grounded on truth, not emotion. And I know there's a quote here that says your identity is your most valuable possession. That's why this is sensitive. Those who disagree with this bill, whether they're in the LGBTQIA plus community or not, probably believe that. And when they say identity, it for damn sure isn't country. It for damn sure isn't whatever your beliefs are, whatever your religion is. It's for damn sure not that. It's this other stuff, which is kind of like a pseudo religion. But I don't want to go there because I don't want it to come across disrespectfully. The critical theory is a religion, but if you're being who you are, that's not what I'm calling a cult or a religion. So this is all about putting pressure now on Disney. That's what it's always been about. It's always been about control. So now they don't like the bill. People who are complaining about bill don't even know what's in the bill. They're not talking about what's in the bill. The bill's extremely short. When you hear somebody talking about it, you can tell within 2 seconds who's read the bill and who's not, or at least excerpts of it. Because it's so short, it's really easy to read. And you read it, it's like there's nothing. It's almost like a nothing burger. I mean, it's really nothing to the bill at all. But these are employees of Pixar, and they are writing because they're disappointed in Disney's reaction to the bill. Obviously, Orlando, Disney, that's a big deal in Florida. They said, we are writing because we are disappointed, hurt, afraid, and angry in regards to Disney's financial involvement with legislators behind the Don't Say Gay bill. And they just named it whatever the hell they wanted to name it. I'm not against it. We have to have adult conversations. How did you come up with that name? What is that? I don't know why. Why are you labeling the bill that? Because that's not in the bill. It's not a part of the bill. So it makes me lose trust in you. We hoped that our company would show up for us, but it didn't. So it's a power structure. That's all it is. is you didn't do what we wanted to, so we're going to go after you. So Bob Chapek, if hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. I'm terrible with names. I didn't even know who he was until this here. I didn't even follow the CEO of Disney. Was criticized Monday for speaking out about not directly condemning this controversial bill. And so people thought it fell short. And then he said, I understand our original approach, no matter how well intended, didn't quite get the job done. And what he's saying there, in my opinion, is it didn't address those feelings of hurt. So wherever side you're on, there are people who do feel hurt and scared and afraid. I don't even want to talk about if it's right or not. That's what I've learned about being in a relationship, being married. If my wife is feeling some kind of way, you can't really look at it from like 2 + 2 is 4. Like, I'm feeling like something's off. If she's feeling like something's off, you got to address those emotions. And that's part of the problem we're having. The people who are for the bill are like, read the bill, like me. Like, what's in the bill? What's the problem? The people on the other side are saying, well, I feel bad. So we're not addressing the I feel bad. I don't know how to do it. I mean, I don't know. But that's the problem that we're having. And so the CEO of Disney is just like, oh, I got an employee base that is kind of not revolting, but they're going against me. So I got to do something. Imagine if you owned a company and, whatever percentage of your base, because that's the power of this word ally. You notice they said Pixar and their allies. So they want to make sure it's not just the 10% or whatever. I'm just making up a number. It's the 10% plus allies, and that could make it 40%. So now you have a problem. It doesn't matter what you think. If you own a company and you have that, that's a problem you have to address. And I want to respectfully say the pattern that I'm seeing from those who are against this bill, and tell me if you're against this bill and you happen to see this video, tell me where I'm wrong. This is the impression I'm getting, is that you expect the government. That's why you're putting pressure on Disney. You're putting pressure on Disney to put pressure on the government. So to me, it sounds like you're expecting the government to end discrimination, or you're putting pressure on your perceived, really more to reach your goal of equity. And my response to that is, I think you need a higher. Just for me, I can't tell you what you need. For me, I think faith in a higher power addresses that void. And it's not a personal thing. It's just a approach thing. And this is a clip from a video I did a while back, and it just kind of sums up where I'm at. I fell asleep, and I was listening to a YouTube channel. And I woke up to a different one. It was Victor Davis Hanson.
Is now equity. It's not a quality of opportunity, it's a quality of result. Now, you and I are not born equally. I don't know, you might have better health or worse health. Your IQ is probably higher than mine.
Doubtful, but
I may be luckier than you may be luckier than I. But if the government says we're going to be equal, then it needs enormous powers of coercion to make you go down and me go up.
The eureka moment. That is the key part of this. I want to play that one more time. That's the part that really caught me from his statement here.
I may be luckier than you may be luckier than I. But if the government says we're going to be equal, then it needs enormous powers of coercion to make.
So he's talking about equality versus equity. And for those who believe, I'm just going to break up. I'm just making up an example. Hopefully this doesn't offend. But say you're doing like a beauty contest, Miss America or something like that. And you have someone who is just, by the standards of the country, not attractive. And then you have, not saying it's right or wrong, and then you have someone else who is attractive by the stereotypical standards of the country. Their view of equity means that in that contest, that both would have equal chance, even in a beauty contest. It's not merit-based. Can you imagine? And their expectation is to have that done in all walks of life. So it would be like, you can't play basketball, but you should be able to be in the NBA. How does that happen? Like, how do you make that happen? The power to make that happen in their belief, in their, I'm trying not to call it a religion, but in their ideology, is the government does it. That's what they believe. So this is critical theory of gender that we're talking about. This bill doesn't change anything about the critical theory of gender. All it says is that parents have to be involved. So it's a parental rights more bill. So that, I don't like the names on these bills, but that name is clearly more accurate than don't say gay. So you divide people in two ways. You can do it on race, gender, intelligence, beauty, anything. Notice they don't look at these other people as oppressors. It's equity that they look at. So these people who are in this, they want equity. And the only people that can do that, the only people that they believe have the power to do that, is the government. It would take enormous government overreach to do it. And this bill goes against that. So this bill giving more power to parents does not give more power to the government. They want more power with the government. That's the essence. That's the essence of the problem they have with this bill, is that it gives parents some more control, power, transparency. A part of the bill is parents can sue and they can get their lawyer fees repaid if they're right, all that kind of stuff. It takes power away from government. Government is what's supposed to give them equity. Government is like God. So that's why it's personal. And then, they do all this, walking down the street and saying gay and being emotional and all that. So hopefully we can have these type of conversations in an adult manner, because we're not doing that right now. I'm going to end with this. I was looking for this tweet. Audra. Shout out to Audra. Follow her on Twitter. Very good follow. She said, somebody replied to her because she's more on the side of, I support the bill. And keep in mind with the bill, it can go both ways. Like these leftists only think one way in them having power. Imagine if you're in an area where someone you don't agree with leftists has power and they're trying to teach children to be straight, which is unacceptable as well, to me at least. This bill gives the parents rights to know what's going on as well. And there shouldn't be any inappropriate conversations, whether it's on any side, with K through third grade is all this is. So Audra supports that. Nessie says to Audra, I hope you never have queer kids, man. I would be so sorry for them. And they assume that you're some demon or monster. And Audra's like, if I have queer kids, I will love them no matter what. What do you think this was? I don't need some pervert teacher making it their mission to separate me from my kids and undermining my authority by telling them that I will hate them for being queer. That is pure evil, period. Not that all teachers would do that, but the bill would be empowering Audra to have that discussion with their children. I feel exactly same way as her. It's very likely, I don't want to say that, but it's very possible that your kids are going to be, my kids are in these indoctrination camps. I am fully prepared mentally that they would be at the very least allied into that leftist establishment point of view. I'm going to try to help them think critically. I'm not talking with them. If they want to get into that, that's fine. I just want them to play chess. I want them to be good chess players. And if they do end up to be leftist, establishment, queer, family's more important than all that. I couldn't care less. Let me know what you think. I would say it's a difficult conversation to navigate. Yeah, our military has, let me put up this topic here from Dina Marie. Our military has gone woke. And I just read an article there's this Navy commander. Has anybody seen that? There's this Navy commander. I don't have this queued up to discuss, but I'm gonna look it up real quick. This Navy commander just made me think. And you could say this might not be technically wokeism, but it's the same type of thing. So I'm going to share my Twitter here real quick. Saw this earlier. New U.S. destroyer can't deploy because commanding officer won't get the needle? So the commanding officer won't take an experimental drug. I refuse to call it a V. I'm trying, because for me, I'm calling it an experimental drug, which that doesn't mean it's bad. That doesn't mean it shouldn't be targeted for certain people to take it, but that's what it really is. So he's not taking it. And I understand that when you're in the military, that's not, they say you have constitutional rights, but it doesn't seem like it to me. You're in literally, it's authoritarian. It's the military. It has to be. But the destroyer can't deploy. It's you guys. It's not like anything important's happening nowadays. We're in World War III, and the destroyer can't deploy because the commanding officer won't get the experimental drug. Are we a serious nation anymore? That is. We're in the middle of World War III, and they can't deploy because he won't get the drug. It's when you're in the military, you gotta do what they say. It's in the court system right now, and I hope the commanding officer wins, but the military is different. Dina Marie says, "I'm young, very healthy, and I do not need an experimental V." I think that should be our choice, her choice to make that. You kind of do the pros and cons in your head, and you make the choice. And I trust people to make their own choice on that. So cool. Thanks for that comment there. Let's go on to next one. I thought this was this one caught my attention to talk about. Because I've thought about it, and then I'm going to end with the historical precedent for this. I don't know if it fits. I'll have to dig into it more. But the Meta COO, Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg, says no two countries run by women would ever go to war. I think just an interesting topic to think about. She went on, and I didn't agree with much of what she was bringing up during the interview, but the topic, the headline, it does make me think. Sandberg's comments come amid the Russian invasion of Ukraine, of course. She says that if half the world were run by women, it would be safer and much more prosperous too. So she's saying like things would be much better if it was run by women. Okay. I hear you. Sandberg pointed out that many countries that were led by women during the onset of the pandemic fared better. I'm going to have to follow up and look into that too. By what measures? Could be true. I just haven't looked at it. And when we look at it, we're in a crisis of gender equality, as she says. But I think that's more complicated because not everybody, a lot of people got sent home. People reevaluated their work situation during the pandemic. And that wasn't because of the virus. That was because of the government reaction to the virus. So please don't give me this BS about the pandemic has wiped out 3.5 decades of progress for women. The government did that. And it concerns me that you aren't able to connect those two things. Because I think you're really smart. So yeah, I do see that. But is it necessarily, you have to analyze it. Is it necessarily a bad thing? Are women finding a different avenue? Are they, they're not having kids, I guess, from the statistics, but I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing, but I do know it was created by the government. She also mentioned that she believes social media, keep in mind, she's the COO of Meta, Facebook. So she says social media is bad for dictators, meaning that when Putin took them down in Russia, that people were in the dark. It was bad for people. Well, what it's bad for is Meta can't control the narrative in Russia. That's what it's really bad for. So she said people are losing access to information through them. And I just did a quick Google search. I didn't read into it. I didn't have time. But I saw this headline, "Don't Mess with the Queen. Female rulers over the past 500 years have waged war more often than kings." So female rulers over the past 500 years have waged war more often than kings. Is that true or not? I don't know. That's the headline. Let me know what you think. Does it matter? Does gender matter? I am all for, best qualified leader. I don't care if that's women. And I think it is crazy that we have not had a woman president yet. I think that's crazy. But I'm for best. I don't care if it's woman, man, whatever, any other thing. Have to be citizen, of course, but yeah. Let me know what you think, if that matters at all, or is it much ado about nothing? Speaking about much ado about something, IRS. The IRS, it's IRS audits are not what you hope for. That's for sure. But, with our current system, they have to be done. IRS audits poorest families at 5 times the rate for everyone else. So this is from a website, Track IRS. Saw this on Twitter. It was trending, so I went over to it, looked at it. A lot of good information on this website. You could do a deep dive on this, for sure. You could do a whole good deep dive on this. A large increase in federal income tax audits targeting the poorest wage earners allowed the IRS to keep overall audit numbers from further declines for Americans as a whole during 2021. That resulted in these low income wage earners with less than $25,000 in gross receipts being audited at a rate 5 times higher than for everyone else. I think there were multiple reasons for that. There can be fraud at that level. I do know people who used to work for the IRS. There can be fraud at that lower level, so I can understand the need to audit. To me, that doesn't explain 5 times more. And there was a statement that was made recently from, I forget who, somebody in the IRS, and they said, well, people who are more well-off, richer, they can hire lawyers. And the IRS can still go after them, but it's much more costly. So here's my takeaway from this. Number one, spread the information. People don't know what's happening. What's his name? Is it Mark Dice? I think I saw Mark Dice do a video just released today, I think, where he walked around and asked people, I think he's in Florida. I forget where he's at, but he was asking people, did you know that Donald Trump was booted off Twitter? And a lot of people didn't know, which is perfectly fine. But my point is, a lot of people don't know nothing really. They don't keep track of anything. So if people knew this, we could rally people on the populist left and right. It's time to end the IRS. What do we need the IRS for? With algorithms getting better, computers getting better, they should be able to calculate your taxes automatically in less than a second. What do we need the IRS for? Why don't we rally to revamp? I know it sounds radical, revamp how we do taxes at all. And maybe we could get to a point where we're like libertarians like Michael Malice, Eric July, Comic Day Smith, Tom Woods, whatever. And he's saying we don't pay taxes. That would be preferable. But let's do step by step. They know who can't afford to fight back. In my opinion, picking on that group to get money. They know it's too expensive to do the high earners. Why don't we team up? I mean, this, them going after people with lower income has nothing to do with political and party affiliation. Let's get together and say, and try to find candidates who will blow this whole system up or make it simple or make it more simple. Yeah, suspicious by nature said, I wish they'd spend that much money on the border. Yeah, you know what? Speaking of which, suspicious, lawmakers strike a deal to provide nearly $14 billion with a billion in wartime aid to Ukraine. They pulled $14 billion out of their couch like it was a dollar bill. $14 billion out of nowhere like that. I'm gonna wake my wife up. Just $14 billion. Because, you know, I talked about this before, and they had started at 10. When I saw the 14, I was like, oh my goodness. They got another $4 billion from when I first saw the proposal. $14 billion. Suspicious by nature. How about they spend some of that on the border? I don't know if a wall works or not. I hear a wall would work, and you know, I used to really frown on the wall idea. But some people who I respect say a wall would make sense in certain areas, whatever. I trust the experts, whoever. But yeah, that money on securing the border in general, my goodness. Can you believe that? And the way that they're going to do this is through this omnibus package. Oh no. Oh Lord. We're doing this omnibus thing again. You wonder why I support Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's not for this kind of stuff. Thomas Massey, they're not for this kind of stuff. There's only a few of them in D.C. that aren't for this. Mitch McConnell, let me see if I have a clip here. Mitch McConnell was acting indignant too. Listen to him gloat about this $14 billion, like it was too hard to get.
Well, let me start by saying if I were the majority leader, we'd be on the Ukraine supplemental right now. It's been challenging to get our Democratic colleagues to do what I believe the Ukrainians need at this particular point.
What the Ukrainians need now, as far as the citizens getting out of there, that it is kind of complicated. My take on that though, because I want to support them. I heard Leonardo DiCaprio, I think he dropped $10 million allegedly that I saw in support. I think his grandmother or somebody is a relative, so he has ties. So but the balance is, I tweeted this, and I know not everybody liked it, but it is a possibility. Ukraine can surrender. You know that's a possibility, right? And I don't know. I'm not pretending to know I'm not privy to everything. I'm just saying I know for a fact that's a possibility. So people try to, peg you like, yo, you don't know this, you don't know that. I do know for a fact they can surrender. They could say, hey, we're done. We're surrendering. We don't want any more lives lost. So at that point, for them to choose to fight, and that's their prerogative. I'm not saying what they should or shouldn't do. I'm just saying that's a possibility that no one's talking about. So these lives of the citizens, who are they on? If you choose not to surrender and this is war. I mean, this happened. I'm not saying Putin is right. It doesn't matter. For me, I'm an American. The only right or wrong I want to worry about is what is our reaction. And dropping $14 billion is not a good answer. That's a wrong. I don't care if Putin's right or wrong. I don't care if Zelensky's right or wrong. I don't care. So I don't know who that's on. And this whole $14 billion is not going to helping refugees. I'll talk about that in a second. But you hear how Mitch McConnell's indignant, like, man, it shouldn't have been this hard to get this $14 billion for the Ukrainians. Damn it, Mitch, we got problems here. You remember a while back, they said they didn't have $4 billion for the wall. They're letting you know what they think of you. You don't have to guess. Do these look like people who care about you? That give a damn about you? Kentucky, you should be embarrassed. You should be. I don't want to hear anything. If you're in Kentucky, I don't want to hear from you until you fix that. I just remember watching his debates the other day. He just got re-upped for 6 years. The Senate is no joke. Take a look at this bill. 2,700 pages. The $14 billion is a part of this $1.5 trillion, where they put all this pork and nonsense in it. They released this. Lawmakers released this. What lawmakers released this? Does anybody know? I don't know that. So lawmakers released this, and they only had hours to read it. It's not possible. What was hidden in there? Who's really writing this stuff? Who knows what's all in there? They had hours to read a 2,700-page bill. This isn't Lord of the Rings. This isn't fun reading. I know half of them are lawyers, but this isn't something you can just skim through. We can't keep doing this. We don't trust you. This has to stop. Half the aid will go to arm Ukraine. No, I'm not for that. No. They can put their arms down. Russia allegedly, this is by Reuters, I did a video on it, they allegedly had terms that were, in my opinion, legit terms to say that allegedly they said we'll drop arms if you meet these terms. And none of them that I saw hurt America, and I'm not pretending to know everything. If there's something I'm missing, my congressman, anybody in D.C. can make the case. I haven't heard it yet. Mitch was up there talking about $14 billion. He didn't make a case for why I should care. He never said why we're even over there. Well, as far as troops, we're not fighting, but troops over there, money over there. What's the case to me, Mitch? So I don't see a case. You haven't made a case to me, so where's the case? Half the money will go to Ukraine. It's money laundering. That's what it is. Half the money will go to Ukraine. So it's going to be some of it humanitarian assistance for the 2 million refugees. Other half of the money is earmarked for deploying U.S. troops to NATO countries bordering Ukraine, including Poland. So we've got more people defending their borders than our own. You see why they hate Trump? Like, he started that movement. You see why they hate Trump? They woke me up to, Trump was a big part of it, then the pandemic, and now I'm a 44-year-old black man watching Nick Fuentes on a regular basis. Or a guy who doesn't believe in interracial marriage, and I have a white wife. And I'm listening to Nick Fuentes, and 90% of the stuff he's saying, I'm like, word? I'm like, okay. I'm like, I can't argue with that. When he gets into race, it's like, it's a little cringe, but it's marketing. He's a master marketer. He's got his demographics. But my point is, that's why they hate it. Because now they've got me like, I'm clearly America first. This is not America first. We've got all kinds of dirt going on in Ukraine with Biden and his son. Come on, man. I gotta clip the Biden "come on, man," because I use that a lot too. Let me know what you think. Proxy wars, yes. Thank you, Eric Smith. Appreciate the super chat. Proxy wars. There's a lot of money to be made out there. They're like, we've got disasters going on, and the midterms might not. The midterms might go to that red wave, so they're like, let's get this money in real quick. There was everybody's trying to get the money in real quick. $14 billion to Ukraine. They're trying to do. I don't know if you heard about the civics. They're trying to rebrand civics to actually mean leftist critical theory. I'm going to do a separate video on that to flesh it out. There was a great article by the National Review on it. But they're looking for $6 billion. And then we had the Gender Studies International. How many was that? I'm losing track. I did the video on it yesterday. Another couple bill. They're trying to get this money out the door, boy. And I heard somebody on Twitter, and this kind of pisses me off. I'm gonna find it and share it, man. It's really, and my boy Omar Kazi tweeted it, and that a huge fan, Omar Kazi. I found out about him on the Third Row podcast with Tesla. So I don't know how he feels about it, but I didn't like this tweet. And I've retweeted stuff where I'm like, oh shoot, that was a bad retweet. I retweeted something while I'm looking for this about something about Zelensky being a hero early on in Ukraine. I'm like, that was a cringe retweet. But I mean, it was something about him like being in the bunker, with his people, and Trudeau was against the people. And it's hard to know what happened. If Zelensky really is kind of like in the bunker with his people to as much as he can as being the highest figure in Ukraine, that is courage. If he's really in that kind of danger, that is courage. But even looking back at it, I'm like, that's kind of cringe. I kind of wish I didn't retweet that one, but you can't win them all. So here's the tweet. Let me share it real quick. It's a side note. See, that's the thing with drinking coffee late. Now I'm gonna be up late. But it's all good. Imagine if I didn't have the coffee, how sleepy this would sound. But here's a tweet. If you can see this, let me make sure you can see the screen here. Brian Deese, White House Director of the National Economic Council. So here's what I'm not happy about. I'm not happy with this, Brian. Brian tweets, many people don't realize this, but because of historically strong economic growth and policy choices, the deficit last year actually fell by $360 billion. And maybe even more surprising, we're on track to see the federal deficit fall by $1 trillion this year, the largest nominal decline ever. So that sounds good. And it's all factual. I know that's factual stuff. So my expectations are low. When we start with facts, I'm thank you, God. At least we're starting with facts. But my question was, what was the point of that? I didn't understand what the point was. Like, Brian, no, I wish I could ask him, like, what's your point, Brian? Like, I don't understand. What are you saying? Okay, here's why I mean. The deficit is really just the difference between what you're spending and how much revenue you got, and the government basically gets revenue from taxes. So the difference between spending and basically taxation is decreasing. So that's what he's saying with the deficit here. The deficit fell by $360 billion. On track to see the federal deficit fall by $1 trillion this year. This is great. That is actually great. But what is your point, though? Because we're borrowing. That's not, so there's the difference here that I think he's trying to do a slight of, I'm not saying that, but here the difference that he didn't bring up was the deficit is not the debt. So that it's like, here's what it's like. It's like you are doing your household budget. The deficit is, I'm spending $1,000 on bills and my income is $1,200. And so, maybe next month you're like, okay, my income's $1,300 and I only spent $900 on all my household bills. So my deficit's lower. It doesn't mean it's negative. It doesn't mean it's positive. It could be negative and still go down lower. But the problem is, if you're racking up credit card debt, that's a problem. And that's not calculated in the deficit. So the debt is going up. And Trump was a part of that. That's one of the biggest beefs I have with Trump. Marjorie Taylor Greene agrees with that too, against Trump. But we're borrowing money at a crazy level. And then we also added money, basically printed money. I didn't say the word printed because we're not literally printing it, but we're adding money to circulation. Something like 80% of the money in circulation was added in last couple years. So this deficit doesn't mean anything if you're racking up credit card bills and you're printing money in the back room so that the money isn't worth as much. I digress. I didn't even plan on doing that, but I don't even know how I got into that tangent there. But I thought it was interesting. Oh, so sticking with me. Thanks for sticking through. I just got a bunch of topics, and what I try to do is chop them up to put them on different channels. Thought this was a good story. Ilhan Omar has a competitor. She's got a challenger. She's got Royce White. Any InfoWar fans here? Alex Jones? Any Bannon fans? Ironically, I talked about Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes hates Steve Bannon. It's part of the reason why I like Nick Fuentes, because I need a balance on the non-left. I like balance to balance out Steve Bannon. Love the war room, but it's always good to have a balance. And but the reason I bring him up is Royce White is running, and this is Minnesota's 5th, I think. I think this is Minnesota 5. Minnesota's 5th district. Royce White is running. I like Royce White a lot. If you like this channel, you'll probably like Royce White. Google Royce White, former NBA player. Because he was on with Alex Jones, Steve Bannon. I don't know if he was on with Tucker or not, but it's unlikely. That's a heavy Democrat district, and I'm going to talk about the Republican challengers here. This is Shukri Abdurrahman. So Shukri Abdurrahman is the challenger here, and she tweets about Ilhan Omar. Whoever wins the Republican will go up against Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar was given a second chance when America took her in, but chose to ridicule the very country that saved her life. When I was welcomed as a legal American citizen, I responded by joining the U.S. Army. That's much respect. Now I'm taking a stand to give hope to the people of Minneapolis. So I just want to share. I don't know much about her. I just wanted to share, people who are running for office. Let me mute this before it's too loud. Yeah, I got to fix that. The volume always starts default loud. So sorry about that if I'm blowing the speakers out, but let's bring it back here.
My father was taken in the middle of the night by Mohammed Ziad Barre's regime. Eventually, he was returned to us, but Barre's men had poisoned him for refusing to join his regime. The scars of living through civil war, surviving abuse at a young age, losing my father all remain with me. In fear of our lives, my family fled war-torn Somalia to the slums of Kenya, where we spent nearly 4 years in refugee camp, waiting, with hopes to come to America. From Somalia to Minnesota, my family and I were welcomed as legal American citizens. America had saved my life, the land of opportunity. Inspired by the events of Black Hawk Down, I joined the military to give back to the men and women who gave their lives so that I could have a second chance. I served over 10 years as a United States soldier. I was deployed to Iraq, where I fell in love with a fellow soldier and gave birth to 3 beautiful children. But they lost their father to PTSD and the pains of war. My husband was a different person that we no longer recognize. It wasn't easy surviving domestic abuse and taking on my newfound role as a single mother, struggling to care for them, at one point homeless, living in our car, poor and tired. But my hand is not out. I still believed in the American dream, resistant to become helplessly dependent on a system I have seen vulnerable communities and so many of my brothers and sisters become enslaved to, rather than empowered to truly prosper in the land of the free. Our lives, our pride, and dignity can no longer be bought in exchange for votes that only keep the elite in power, who disappear and abandon us after election season is over. The self-aggrandized political class who do not represent the people, My name is Shukri Abdurrahman, and I'm running for Congress in Minnesota. I am a survivor, a refugee, a mother, a Black Muslim, but above all, I am a Minnesotan and an American, just like you.
I like that. I like that ad a lot. And it's just an intro. And, you know, when you're getting to know somebody, that's how it starts. Like, who are you? What are you about? And I think it was a good start. You're looking at the race there in Minneapolis a little closer. We see that I hate that I can't see the money because that's what matters. But when you look at it, we've got Shukri and then Royce White there. So we're going to see who's going to come out of that. I like, I know Royce White way more, but I like both of them, at least what I've seen. So how did the Twin Cities become a hub for Somalis? If you might, I used to live out there. Yeah, I enjoyed my time in Minnesota. I was out there when Philando Castile, the Philando Castile situation happened. And man, there's just so many incidents out there. I don't know what's going on, but if you're not familiar, there's a big Somali, because you're seeing, obviously, Ilhan Omar is Somali, and then Shukri is as well, because there's a big population out there of Somali immigrants that, it's a weird dynamic, because when you think Minnesota, at least when I do, I think Scandinavian, Norwegian, that type of stuff. Basically blonde hair, blue eyes is, mostly what you think about there. But it is a good contrast to have different people there. In the United States, this is a beautiful part of America. When we talk about immigration, I don't want it to seem like I'm against immigrants. America is a country of immigrants. We have a process, though, and we have a process for a reason. And this here United States was issued visas to Somali refugees displaced by civil war in the early 90s. Initially, Somali community settled in other parts of the country, particularly in San Diego, over on the West Coast, but struggled to find work with little education and English language skills. And back then, there was a lot more American jobs, and especially out there in Minnesota, you could get a job in a meat processing plant, and you got the opportunities. Robots are taking a lot of these jobs, and a lot of these jobs are, not this particularly, but are now overseas, China and other places. But they started coming over, and they were actually welcome there. Like, it wasn't like a tension or beef or anything like that. Food is great. Oh my goodness. There's a Somali market out there. Forgot the name of it, but you go in and there's all these different booths and different food. There's a food court and all different, clothing and stuff like that. But I just think that's a beautiful story. My parents are immigrants from Jamaica. My brothers and I were born here, Cleveland, Ohio. But I think there's a perspective. That's what I felt when I saw Shukri's video there. There's a different perspective that immigrants might have on America, especially if they've come through and gone through the legal process to become Americans. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Is obviously fighting an uphill battle against Ilhan Omar, one of the most famous members of the House out there. But I'll keep an eye on it. Let me know what you think. Let's look at the comments. Oh, Dita Marie said they do not assimilate well at all. So yeah, what do you mean by that? Because yeah, they all kind of get segmented. So are you talking about Somalis in particular, Dina Marie? I can talk a little bit about that. The government placed the majority of Somali refugees in Minneapolis and also Lewiston, Maine. I did not know that. Oh, wow. Lewiston was ruined. Wow. Now, why did that happen? Was it because the problem is they went to areas where they could get, low skill, jobs. There's a lot of people. So where are they going to work? And we're going to have that problem now. I mean, immigrants coming just flooding over, don't know the language well. What are they going to do? Okay, so she's talking about Somalis. So here's my thing with that is, yeah, they pretty much stayed within, you knew this was a Somali area, this was not. So I wouldn't say, so they didn't assimilate that way. But maybe my expectations are too low. And it's a great point. Thank you, Dina. Because I didn't want to make it sound like it was all mixture and all, happy. But I didn't get the sense that there was beef or tension, at least when I was out there in Minnesota. So I didn't even really get the feeling that people looked down on Somalis. It's just they lived in different areas. And like the market I was talking about, you would see all kinds of people go through the market. There wasn't any like, oh, why are you coming through here type of stuff. So, it's not perfect, but the assimilation is one of my concerns with the border being open. I mean, we got drugs and trafficking, I know, and all that, but when I say assimilation with the millions of people coming across the border is they don't know Western values or American values. They don't know anything about the Constitution, so they're easily manipulated to follow certain parties. Eric Smith says, also a lot of Somalis have been implanted into the Tri-Cities of Washington State. Okay, yeah, I did not know that. I didn't know anything about it until I moved out there. And then I was like, man, how did Somalis end up in this Norwegian type of state? Same way I did. The job was out there. So, yep. Let's go on. I just wanted to talk about this. Do I have a clip? I don't know if I'm going to play a clip on this, but Trevor Noah and Joy Reid. I didn't see the Joy Reid clip, so let me just talk about Trevor. I want to talk about Trevor and his take here. Trevor tweeted, "It's great to see Ukraine's neighbors welcoming refugees with open arms, but it's worth taking a look at why refugees from Africa and the Middle East haven't received the same treatment." And I might have a take. I don't know if it'll surprise anybody or anything, but I think I have a little bit of a different take. Wait, what is that? Alexander? I'm sorry, I got distracted in the chat. Warning, China makes move on Taiwan. Is that a breaking news? What's going on? Is somebody holler at me real quick? That's a nightmare, y'all. I hope that's not breaking news. So I'll reset this segment in a second. This is a little bit more important. I'm going straight to Twitter, so let me share my screen. Is there something? I'm just gonna double check. Because I've been on just in. Wait, whoa. Let me got a sidetrack. What's going on? This is my Twitter feed here. What is going on? Is there anything going on about Taiwan? Let me search China and Russia. Oh. What did you hear? I'm trying to see if I see anything here. Chinese Defense Ministry, China will never tolerate the independence of Taiwan. This is a purely domestic matter. Foreign interference is unacceptable. I mean, that's... I'm worried a little bit that China could take Taiwan and America might not do anything. I mean, I really think that that's a possibility. Because if my theory is right that we are corrupted by China, then that's what would happen if I'm right. So I still don't see anything yet, but Twitter is not the end all be all. Do you have a link, Alexander? Oh, so China's using a little bit of wording. Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I'm gonna keep an eye out if you guys got a link. But yeah, that's how stuff happens. It starts with the word. It starts with the verbiage. So if they're using the same verbiage, I'm not feeling that. Yeah, Dina Marie says China made the statement that NATO instigated the Ukraine war. That's a fair statement. I've showed the map ever since World War II. There have been more NATO countries moving east. NATO was not some peacekeeping unit. I mean, it's a gang. It's a gang of countries, and if you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. So it's not a peaceful thing. Yeah, there's going to be planes. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. I don't know what I don't know what's going to happen, but I hope that cooler heads prevail, because if America is not corrupted by Taiwan, my take on Taiwan is completely different than my take on Ukraine. If China goes into Taiwan, that would be World War III, period. Like that's it. That's go time. Everything, anyone over in the Ukraine would have to be on alert to be somewhere else. And we're talking about serious stuff. And I know it's weird because we're talking about Taiwan. It's not like it's off the coast of the U.S. or anything. It's off the coast of China. But it's that strategically important for the United States. And this is a good example. Is it right for the U.S. to get involved with Taiwan? Like morally right? I don't know. Why would we be concerned about Taiwan? Just from the geographic, it would be like China being concerned about Cuba. Like if we had beef with Cuba, like China, why is China coming over here with beef with Jamaica or Cuba or one of those small islands? So morally, I will fully acknowledge I don't know what sense that makes. But just from a survival standpoint or strategic, or I don't want to be under the umbrella of China's standpoint, it's invaluable. There would have to be war over Taiwan, in my opinion. And I'm not a warmonger. I'm not one to. I've never fired a gun before. Period. I'm not one. But so let me put it like this: if you want to maintain America and the Constitution, it would have to be war. So, Eric Smith said, when World War III comes, I'm going to Osiris's house. I know you got the end of the world hookup. Nah, man, we going to Tim Pool's crib, man. I'm gonna hit up Tim Pool. Like, man, can I come through? I got wife, 2 kids. I know you got room, man. I just want to stay at the office building. I bet you he's got all the food, the dry food and all that, because he's, that's one of his sponsors. He's got the guns for defense. Like we all going to Tim Pool's house, man, not mine. We're going to Dina Marie's crib. If it starts going down, World War III, the funny thing is we've got a civil war going. I mean, it's not like fully hot here in the United States, but we got civil tension. And there is no, say China moved on Taiwan. Back in the 90s, everybody would be rallying around the United States. That's not going to happen. There is nothing that we are going to rally around as a country anymore. So you're going to need protection. We're going to Dina Marie's crib. That's where we're going. Some of us are going to go to Tim Pool. Some of us are going to go with Dina Marie. Whoever. I don't know. Who else? Might have to holler at Eric July. He got the crib. He got the protection. or you gotta have to learn how to protect yourself. Yeah, Tim Pool got the chickens. They got it all. So yeah, I would be going to a rural area. Much harder to get up on. Yep. So Dina Marie's got the protection. She says her pops was an avid gun collector. So hey, good to have that. But Trevor Noah, let me reset this one, and we'll probably talk about Taiwan tomorrow. Trevor Noah was like, let's compare the reaction to Ukraine to the reaction to refugees in Africa or the Middle East. I mean, there's all kinds of wars and all kinds of terrible things going on all over the place. Why is that reaction so different? And they're going to copyright me, so let me try to just skip through.
As Europe struggles for a solution, refugees forced to zigzag from one country to another with no clear path.
The EU has effectively paid Turkey to keep Syrians from getting to Greece.
Poland had pledged to take in a number of the refugees, saying now that it is not going to do that.
We will not be receiving migrants from the Middle East and North Africa.
So what they're talking about right now is they're not going to take in refugees from the Middle East and North Africa. So then obviously there's a different reaction to when, we're having the refugee crisis now. And before they take down for copyright, I'm just going to stop it. And, so he just flat out said it's race. And my take on it is, it's just not he could be right. I don't know. Like why are we so invested in, why do we care so much about Ukraine? There's thousands of people in Yemen dying like as we speak. I think my takeaway from it is it's a fair question. I just want to ask whoever cares more about Ukraine or these people who wrote the script or, these government officials, more people with power, what the difference is. I mean, there could be legitimate reasons. You can say that there's more extremists in the Middle East or in Africa, but we know there's Yazidis in Ukraine. You've got to see the symbols and everything. So that would be the same as well. So some people were trying to knock it like he's making everything about race. I don't like that part, but I do think it's a fair question. What is the difference? And it's interesting how he can say that and he's not like a stooge for Putin. How does that work? Tucker's now a stooge for Putin. So does Trevor agree with the everything America's doing to support Ukraine, or does he disagree with it? I don't follow him enough to know. I just think it's an interesting question. Let me know what you think. I'm going to end with this. I don't mess with spiders, y'all. I just don't do it. I don't mess with them. I don't like them. Let me know if you don't care or what. Now, if I see like a little spider, I'm not. I'm in the basement. I'll see a little spider every once in a while. I'm not worried about that. But when you see a headline, giant spiders expected to drop from sky across the East Coast this spring. When you see a headline like that, or at least when I do, it's a little troubling. It reminds me of the murder hornets, and I know the murder hornet thing kind of came and went, but that was a real thing. Like they're still eliminating nests. Last I saw, like from last season. So this reminded me of that. And that's what I would look like. If I say, for example, I opened up a closet and saw one of these things. These things they're not daddy long legs. Like if I see a daddy long leg, I'm not running from it. Or I'm not even scared of it. When I see this thing could be as big as your hand. They're invading the East Coast. Has anybody seen these? They're saying they're all over Georgia. I think that's the one. They're showing all kinds of different spiders, but it's a pretty big spider. Like if I see something like that, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I swear to you, if I saw a spider like that at the crib, I'm calling the exterminator. I'm not messing with it. If there's one thing I've learned about nature, is if you've got a lot of color, like all that yellow and then some red, and I don't think they're poisonous. They never said they were poisonous, but Mother Nature gives you color for a reason. The color means danger. Stay the hell away from me. We've got these massive spiders, again, came from Asia. It's like the hornets. They said they think it came over in like a container or something. They don't really know. It's mostly yellow, can get as big as the palm of your hand, was first spotted in Georgia, 2013. Originating from Asia, there's no clear answer as to how it made to the U.S. other than it likely came in a shipping container. But in 10 years, rapidly spread. It reminds me of that episode of The Simpsons. I forget what was it? They remember they brought something over. They took a trip, came back, brought something over, and then it started like eating everything and it spread like wildfire. The Simpsons covered everything, didn't they? They said people should try and learn to live with them. No, I won't, Andy Davis. I'm not living with that thing. I don't care. They said there are going to be so many of them, they're going to be dropping from the sky, basically, in the trees. If they're literally in your way, I can see taking a web down and moving them, but they're just going to be back next year. Is that what they look like? Man, that's not normal. That's not a part of Midwestern, Eastern United States. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. I've never seen anything like that in my life. I think you might every once in a while see a black widow or something like that. I never seen one, but you hear somebody took a picture or seen one, but nothing like that. That ain't right. That's those giant spiders. I am out. I don't mess around. My mom, you know what it reminds me of? My mom. She's not really a jokester, but if she knew I wasn't, I didn't like insects that much. So she would play around and be like, oh my gosh, there's an insect, there's a spider on you. When I was younger, I would go, oh my gosh. And she would just die. She would die of laughter because there was nowhere there. But you know what? It wasn't funny. My brother is into, snakes and had baby alligators and stuff like that growing up. And he somehow lost a snake in the house. And then the roles were reversed. My mom was scared as heck. I forgot what happened. I'll have to text him. I think he found it. But my mom couldn't open up a cabinet or anything without being scared. And she was pissed off too. But let me know what you think if you've seen one of those things. All right. So I'm out. That's all I had for today. Let me look at some comments here. Thanks everybody for stopping by. Misinformation. I like that name. Misinformation. A good little play on words there. See, everyone was criticizing Trevor for what he said. And I don't know if it's a race thing, but it for sure is a fair point. People are losing it over kids in Ukraine, but kids in Yemen are being killed. I think it's a fair question. I'm not a big race person, so I'm not going to say, are you racist or is race the issue? I'm just going to say, what is the issue? Explain yourself. That's what I would say. Somebody tweeted a very similar type of approach. Somebody tweeted about Stephen Miller, somebody from the left attacking Stephen Miller, formerly from the Trump administration, and they called him. They were going after him, and they called him a Jewish white nationalist. And I at them. And I said, was that supposed to be a derogatory term? What did that mean? And they actually deleted the tweet. I don't know if it's because of that, but my point is, I would just ask why. Forcing people to explain themselves is more powerful than people think. Instead of you assuming what's there, race is a possibility, but instead of assuming it, tell me. And then you can go down that path. Thank you. Misinformation replies again, says, and nobody cared or cares about them. Why? What's the difference? Well, for one, the media has assigned to them what their unwavering opinion must be. So maybe good old-fashioned brainwashing. I don't know. Yep, it could just be that. Yep. Now, the Trevor had in his clip, they used the word like, these aren't your normal refugees. They're civilized. That was just the news people, so you can't put that on everybody. But I would like to ask those people who said they were civilized or they look like us type of stuff. That was the actual verbiage they used in the news. It was overseas, though. I don't think any of it, I don't remember if it was American media. Okay, so I think that's it. That's all I had for today. I'm going to try to get some editing done, get some sleep, and hopefully wake up to good news about China and Taiwan, meaning nothing is escalating, because that's what we're all that's what I'm looking at. China, Taiwan, Iran, North Korea. America's clearly, they're holding back a ship because the commander didn't take a drug. So if you're going to do something, like if you want to make a move on something, you probably want to do that right now, before the midterms come for sure. Because I don't know what's going to happen with the midterm. And let me be clear too about the midterms. I don't know. Like, let's be real. Are there going to be midterms? I don't know. I don't know if the establishment is willing to give up power. I really don't know. And even though I think they are ahead in the long game because of the indoctrination with kids, controlling culture, all that kind of stuff. But even in the short term, it seems like it's going to be really, really hard for them to give up power. I don't think they're going to give it up easily. I just don't. So I don't, and what that looks like, I don't know. I don't know if that looks like more mail-in ballots or what. I don't know what laws would be able to pass. We're almost at midterms right now, so I don't know if you can do anything. But I don't know if that's martial law. I don't know what. I could be off. Nothing could happen, but I am watching it. I am watching it because I don't think there's a guarantee that the midterms are going to be normal. On the positive note, if you're against the establishment, a lot of them have dropped out. And I think that's because technically there's some kind of loophole, like a lot of Democrats who are kind of retiring, I think they're calling it, or whatever. There's a loophole that I think you can spend some campaign money. I don't know you can spend campaign money in a different manner if you drop out or retire or whatever. So I think that's where a lot of it's coming from. I'll have to look it up to make sure I'm giving accurate information on what that is exactly. I saw that somewhere. But talking on this topic before I go out, it made me think about this. This is just some random dude I found on Twitter. He's hilarious. Wholesome white guy on Twitter. And he said, let's check in on the Dem 2022 midterm platform. Start World War III. Check. Mock poor people that can't afford rising gas prices. Check. Demand the right to discuss inappropriate things with kindergarten children. Check. Other than that, everything's going fine for the Democrats. They are really, Joy Behar, she was talking about the Ukraine-Russia thing early on when it popped off. And she said something to the effect of, don't you know, I swear she said this. I wish I had the clip. I swear she said this. She said something to the effect of, don't you know we got trips to Italy planned? I'm telling you she said that. If you didn't hear that, I feel like I have to find it now. I swear to you she said that. Unbelievable. This is the face of the Democrats. This is your Democrat Party. Let me see here. Can I share my audio? It's unbelievable. The Democrat Party is so crazy. I'm going to try and see if I can share my audio with it. It's a short clip. Oh man. Oops. You have to hear it to believe it. If somebody had told me she said this, I would. I already had my audio shared. I would not have believed it.
Well, I'm scared of what's going to happen in Western Europe, too.
Yeah.
You know, you plan a trip, you want to go there. I want to go to Italy for 4 years. I haven't been able to make it because of the pandemic. And now this, you know, it's like, what's going to happen there?
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
I mean,
The Democrat, I know she's not a politician, but that's the Democrat Party in a nutshell. You wonder why working class people got chased to Nick Fuentes. You wonder why. How did so many young people start following, go, on that type of angle, go to like Nick Fuentes or MAGA, for that movement, or Steve Bannon. How did that happen?
I'm scared of what's going to happen in Western
How did Trump win in 2016? You know how Trump won in 2016? It's this.
Europe, too.
Yeah.
You know, you plan a trip, you want to go there. I want to go to Italy for 4 years. I haven't been able to make it because of the pandemic. And now this, it's like, what's going to happen there?
Yeah.
She's talking about her trip to Italy. Like it's something like everybody does. Like I'm like, you're just going to go down to your playground with the kids or something. Like, we had the trip to Italy. And I'm not hating her for being able to go to Italy at all, but this isn't about you and your Italy trip, Joy. And then Mayor Pete, gosh, he was so polished. Obviously, we don't see eye to eye politically, but he was so polished. And, running for president, he was impressive. He was, just as far as a speaker, composed, strategic. He did the funny line against Trump, it was something about making fun of the whole scandals of, cheating and stuff. But he actually said, if gas prices are too high, just buy an electric car. Like, this is the Democrat Party.
We have more oil than anybody, okay? And it's an incredible thing that it's happened over the last few years, a lot of great things, and you're paying, what, $2 a gallon for your gasoline? That's okay. You know what that's like? That's like a tax cut. That's bigger than a tax cut. If Biden got in, you'd be paying $7, $8, $9. Then they say, get rid of your car.
Damn, I haven't seen that. I'm trying to get the Pete quote. Damn, did Trump predict wow. My man from Valuetainment predicted last year that gas would be at $10 a gallon.
Last month, we announced a $5 billion investment to build out a nationwide electric vehicle charging network so that people from rural to suburban to urban communities can all benefit from the gas savings of driving an EV.
We have more.
So I'm obviously pro EV, big Tesla guy, but this is nonsense. Even Elon Musk said, we got to increase oil. So thank you for hanging out. I will see everybody. I'll try to put a link to the Discord. The Discord is asking me to do this QR code now, which is really annoying. So it's hard to get the quote. But what I'm going to do, with the Discord, I know it's kind of messed up using Discord because Microsoft just came out with a new terms of agreement. But I'm just going to use it. If it doesn't work out, there's some other alternatives out there. We don't really post anything too crazy on there, but obviously we're not pro-establishment, so you're going to be in danger. But yeah, let me see if I can get this. I'm going to log in real quick so you can follow there. I'm going to put, because I do have a bunch of channels, and on the Discord. So here's, is it not sharing? Oh, I thought it was sharing. Why is it not sharing? But on the Discord, I'm going to put all the videos, links to the videos, so you don't have to worry about necessarily following 10 million different channels. So you got Casual Goats in here tweeting. So we're just kicking it off. There are not many people in there now, but so I have a link to the live in there. And I'm going to put a link to all the different clips and stuff in there too. So here's the link to the Discord. Let me find it. I'll put it in the chat. We can stay in touch. We got to find different ways to stay in touch. Email, Twitter, all different places. Discord for right now too. I'm going to try and get the outro going. Thanks, everybody. I hope I didn't miss any. I apologize if there's any chats or anything that you were asking questions on that I missed. Hey, hit up the Discord for it. Let me try to turn down the volume on this. When it comes in. I will fix that audio. Man, it comes in. But yeah, you can hit me up on Discord. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Take care. Good night, everyone.